Welcome to today's maths video on commutative property of whole numbers. Commutative property states that changing the order of numbers while performing the operation does not change the answer. Let's look at the commutative property for addition of whole numbers. Let's take two whole numbers, for example 6 and 7. We add them, that is 6 plus 7 to get 13. Now let's change the order of the addends, that is 7 plus 6, we still get 13. If we use any other examples also, it works out the same way. Thus, for any two whole numbers a and b, a plus b will be equal to b plus a. Thus, changing the order of the numbers does not change the sum. So, we can say that whole numbers are commutative under addition. Let's look at the commutative property of subtraction of whole numbers. Let's look at two whole numbers, 8 and 6. When you subtract 6 from 8, that is 8 minus 6, you get 2. Now, if we change the order and we do 6 minus 8, or we subtract 8 from 6, you get minus 2. So, now for any two whole numbers a and b, a minus b will not be equal to b minus a. So on changing the order of whole numbers, the difference will not remain the same. Thus, we can say that subtraction is not commutative for whole numbers. Now, let's look at the commutative property of multiplication of whole numbers. Now, let's take the example of two whole numbers, 6 and 7. When we multiply these numbers, we get the product as 42. 6 into 7 is 42. Now, when we change the order and we put 7 first and we multiply 7 into 6, also we get 42. So, if we take the example of few other whole numbers, also we realize that changing the order does not change the product. Thus, we can say that for any two whole numbers a and b, a into b is the same as b into a. Therefore, change in the order of the numbers does not change or alter the product, and whole numbers are commutative under multiplication. Now, let's look at the last operation, that is division of whole numbers. Let's look at the commutativity of division of whole numbers. Let's take the example of two whole numbers again, 10 and 5. If we do 10 divided by 5, you get 2. And now if we change the order and do 5 divided by 10, we get half or 0.5. So thus we can say that if we change the order of the numbers, the quotient does not remain the same. Thus, for any two whole numbers a and b, a divided by b is not equal to b divided by a. Therefore, changing the order of the numbers changes the quotient. In this video, we have learned that commutative property holds true for addition and multiplication of whole numbers, and commutative property does not hold true for subtraction and division of whole numbers. With that, we come to an end of today's maths video. In our next video, we will look at the associative property for whole numbers.